GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome, everyone, to our Thursday flashback on a Saturday. So couldn't do the Thursday one, had a issue with the band, so postponed it a little bit, but we can dig into it today. We have a little time before Suicide Prevention Saturday with the Great Start Shooting School that starts up in a little bit here. So we'll open up one of our videos from back in the day, and this one has 1.9 million views. It's possible you've seen it before, or you were somewhere where they were watching it. I guess I have to wait for commercials. And we're going to go watch it from the beginning. And eventually, look how slow my internet is. Eventually, we will get to the point here where we can see when this thing was uploaded. So this was uploaded in June of 2013. I can still remember filming this video. So this is a Medusa Model 47 made by Phillips and Rogers in the 1990s. And I filmed this, I guess 10 years something later. And at that point, it was super rare. I had not seen one before. Had a chance to fiddle with it and filmed this video and jumped at the chance. I think they eventually had another one in the store, and I think we shot the next one that came along. It's hard to remember anymore. It's a long time ago. But here's one of the videos from back in the olden days. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And we'll chat about it a little bit more when it's over. And there's a follow-up to it. What? All right, we get to take a look at a very interesting revolver. This is a Phillips and Rogers Model M-47 Medusa 6-shot revolver. Now, on its own, it's just a cool revolver. It's basically a Smith & Wesson K frame. So not the smallest J frame, or the smaller J frame, but a K frame, still a very fairly small frame. It's got a really aggressive look with that smooth cylinder and sort of serrated barrel lug, or whatever you call that. It's got a pretty high-vis front sight, nice adjustable rear sight, target trigger, target hammer, Packmeyer grip, I think. Kind of a parkerized, maybe blued look. Really, like, just on its own, this is a cool looking revolver. However, there's a lot more to it than that. Well, 6 shots, okay, but what caliber is it? That's what it's all about. Let's take a look. Right on the barrel, it tells us it's a 38, 357, and 9mm. So 357, 38, no big deal. That's not unusual. But a 9mm. So let's take a look. Look at the inside of the cylinder there. That's the key. Those little tabs are what makes this special. It's a multi-caliber revolver. So this thing can actually shoot about 25 different calibers in the 30 caliber range. So that means the 9mm, 38, 38 Super, 357. All of those that have basically the same size bullet, just different size cases, are all going to work through this multi-caliber. Let's take a look at some. So we've got a 357. We've got a 38 Special. See, next up we've got a 38 Super, another cartridge designed for a pistol. We've got a Smith or a 38 Long, so basically it's sort of like a 45 Colt, a longer version of a 38 Smith & Wesson, which is the next one, a 38 Smith & Wesson, another old revolver cartridge. Then we've got a 9mm Largo, 9x23. We have a 9mm that we're all familiar with, 9mm Luger, 9mm Carball. And then last, we got a little 380. Right, so we've got a couple of pistol cartridges in here. We've also got some revolver cartridges, but guess what? They all work in this Medusa. Let's take a closer look at that. So first off, upload a 357. Why not? Now we've got the little ridge along the cylinder, the chambers there. So we know that this thing will head space like it's supposed to, off the rim, like a revolver cartridge would, on that little groove on the cylinder. So no big deal. And this 38 special, exact same way. It's going to come in, it's going to fill the groove, and it's going to head space off the cylinder. But now let's take something like this 38 Super, which is a pistol cartridge, and it has no rim, really. It's a rimless, or it should be similar to a rimless. But no problem. That's what that little tab in the center of the cylinder does. It comes up and catches it, and you can see that it's staying there, no problem. Will that work with a 9mm? You betcha. Same thing. Fits right in there. Let's put that 380 right next to the 9mm. And then let's just pick something weird like this 38 long Colt. And I bet you've never seen a cylinder with an assortment of ammo like that would all work just fine in this revolver. Unfortunately, I'm not at a range, or else I was shooting this one. But look at that collection of calibers. That's pretty cool. They all eject just fine. Now, right now it's going to be funny because I'm on video, of course, but also because they're still loaded. But it ejects just fine. It'll load pretty much anything. It'll shoot anything it can load into it. Really ingenious little design. I wish they'd come up with something like this again. I'm sure it would sell well. Now, if you can imagine, when they built these, 500 of them were made, or somewhere around 500 were made. Most of them went out of the country. But if you can imagine some of the countries where you can have only limited firearms, it might be quite an advantage to have something that can shoot multiple calibers. Now that we're thinking about ammunition shortages and issues with ammunition supply, something like this really sparkles. So hopefully we'll see something like this again in the future. If not, keep an eye on Gunbroker. These do not go cheap. No one gives them away. This is probably $1,500 in my hand right now, if not plenty more. It's a Phillips and Rogers Medusa model M-47, made in Texas. No longer made, but very much sought after. As always, thanks for watching.
So I come from websites and taking pictures of things. So that's why my videos are pretty picture heavy, I guess, so to speak. Put a Ray Bradbury quote at the end here. The television, that insidious beast, that Medusa, which freezes a billion people to stone every night. Staring fixedly, that siren, which called and sang and promised so much and gave, after all, so little. Great quote. Back in the old days, I used to put a quote at the end of the videos. Then it would wrap up with Charles Heller.
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take
Oh snap, this is Haas.
a CCW class every year. Practice at least once a month and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.
All right, so tonight we have a poll going. So we can switch over here real quick. If you're over here on the big channel, I'll put a link to the big channel. There's some people watching on the Daily Gun Show channel. I simulcasted it again since I'm paying for the StreamYard again. Thanks to our patrons, people that subscribe to our projects, that give us the ability to do stuff like subscribe to StreamYard, which is letting us broadcast to a couple of different channels here today. But we do have the poll over here. How much would you invest in one? Because they're not getting any cheaper. I think I said they're like $1,500 back when I made the video. I'm guessing they're quite a bit more than that now. I can't remember the last time I seen one, but I think I kind of remember the last time I seen one. Quite a bit more. But we have another thing to look at. That was back in 2013. Since then, I probably have seen the Medusas 4 times, maybe, not counting museums. I think they might have one at the. Do they have one at JM Davis? Who's been to JM Davis? I don't think any of the other museums would have one. At least none of the museums I've been to had one. Maybe JM Davis. But what we're going to do now is, what is it? Oh, I guess we're going to go to the description of this video. And I was minding my business one year. Oh, this is a couple years back now, I think. And I found Johnny Rowland. And Johnny Rowland did a satellite TV show back in the 1990s. way before there was any such thing as the internet or YouTube, before anybody thought of sending data across the telephone line.
Shot Show is the
We would watch satellite TV. And this is satellites that were big around as like a tetherball ball, like a giant, like a tetherball ring or whatever. These things are 12-foot diameter satellites. Places would get them and then run the signal out to multiple houses sometimes. So this was kind of before cable, at an interesting time when people were creating their own content. It was not the beginning of that, and it certainly wasn't the end of it, but it was a cool time, and it cost money. And Johnny Rowland was essentially creating what would become a gun channel on YouTube, but back in the old days on the satellite radio. And he did this out of Louisiana. And one of the things that he started to do was go to SHOT Show. So he took his show to SHOT Show in 1993, and he talks to the guy who invented the Medusa revolver. So we have this because Johnny Rowland recorded it on a VHS tape. He broadcasted it on satellite radio to an audience of people. And then at some point, those VHS tapes were discovered in a storage shed and were bought at auction. So now this channel on YouTube is brought back all the Johnny Rowland shooting shows, and found those videos and salvaged them, turned them into digital, and posted them over here on YouTube. And we'll post a link to that, the Johnny Rowland Shooting Show archives. A freaking awesome channel. And this is a 1 hour long video from Johnny Rowland Shooting Show at SHOT Show 1993. Definitely worth watching. Crazy how many cool things are in here. At one point, thanks again to our Patreons, I was able to go in and create timestamps for most of the Johnny Rowland Shooting Show shows like this that were worth doing it for. So if you go in there, you'll find Paxton Quigley, the author of a book called Armed and Female. Back in the day, she was one of the first ladies to be an advocate for self-defense rather than assuming criminals were going to listen to more laws. Then you have this interview we're about to listen to. And then you have an interview with North American Arms, the mini revolvers. Soon, then after that, you have an interview with Bond Arms out of Texas talking about the Braverman pen gun. So we could talk about the Braverman pen gun in another video because, yep, I have one of those. And we've done a couple of videos with it. In fact, our co-host of the Daily Gun Show, Bob, is in a couple. He's shot the pen gun a few times. So without getting too far into the pen gun, let's get back to the Medusa. So the Medusa is this unique revolver. It was invented in the 90s, and the dude who invented it went to SHOT Show. And I will bet you $50 you do not think this is the guy who invented such an interesting revolver. He just doesn't seem like a gun inventor to me, but let's go find out. So again, thanks everybody who's watching us. I guess I can go like this. Yesterday's out there. Yesterday's Pomade. Ron Wayne is out there. Thanks again for the super chat yesterday. Kingpin and Woods are out there from the beginning. And if anybody else is out there, we'll know if you say hey. Otherwise, if you're listening to us on a podcast or watching this as a video out in the future, leave a comment. Leave us a like or a subscribe or whatever is the way to interact on the platform out there. We appreciate it. That's how the channel grows. And again, always thanks to our Patreons, the people that make it possible for us to do this. So this is a 3-minute interview from Johnny Rowland from the Johnny Rowland Shooting Show at SHOT Show 1993, talking to Jonathan W. Phillips
Shooting
Jr.
and Hunting Outdoor Trade Show. Going on each year since 1979. It's hosted by the NSSF. Let's take a look back.
So I did a series a while back where I grabbed a bunch of different flashback stuff from SHOT Shows to show what SHOT Show was like. So this is what we're looking at here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the Phillips and Rogers Incorporated booth, and I'll tell you what, we have Jonathan Phillips standing here, and he's in front of a character on the back that says, "My gosh, that's a Jonathan. No offense, that's an ugly woman back there." Excuse me, but anyway, this is a very unique concept. The world's only patented multi-caliber revolver. So, why don't you show us how this works?
Okay, I'll show you this. What we have basically is a new type of firearm that has latches in the back of the cylinder so that you're able to lock up in the extraction groove or the rim.
Just a little bit more so I can get a look at how that works. Now, this is probably a patented feature, am I correct?
Yes, it is.
So you're not going to be adverse to having people see how it works?
No.
All right, now we're going to see how this works. You have some spring-loaded extractors or ejectors or however what you want. That is such a neat concept. And this gun will shoot 9 millimeters.
38 suit is a little hard to get in because of the pronounced casement.
Or we're saying in a pinch, a 38 Super, a 357 Magnum, a 38 Special.
Any of the NATO 9mm.
And I guess all the nines. That's great.
So you can chamber fire, they're locked into the chamber.
Well, that's terrific. This is just excellent. I'll tell you what, a lot of people will be interested, and their dealers, their local dealer can order your product. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, sir, we're going to give you a shot with our audience out there. We appreciate you taking time to visit with us. Wish you a lot of good luck. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And these good folks are manufacturing the entire revolver. It has characteristics very similar to a K-frame sled, which is about as good as it gets in handling qualities, of course. They have a variety of barrel lengths, and this gun looks like a stainless. This lady just hands there, stainless.
It's a Silverstone polymer.
It's a polymer coat. So this is, in fact, a new gun company, and we wish them a lot of luck and hope to be testing one of these guns on our program in the future.
So you can see from that, even in 1993, same issues with people just coming up and grabbing a gun that you're trying to film.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our page.
Well, and that there. So again, that's the Johnny Rowland Shooting Show covering SHOT Show 1993, and I'm trying to remember where SHOT Show 1993 was. Let's see if we know. If we go to where do I have that? I guess I have that at Gun Show Reviews. And if we go to SHOT Show and go down the list, 1993 was in Houston, Texas. 25,000 attendees. To put it in perspective, nowadays there's around 60,000 attendees. So now in Houston, Texas, which wouldn't have been that long a drive for Johnny Rowland coming out of Louisiana. So, yeah, that was a pretty cool interview. I was so stoked when I found that. I was trolling through, watching all the different archives of Johnny Rowland, which are definitely worth watching. And there's a lot of duplicates and a lot of doubles, so it's a little bit of wading through duplicates because they're not 100% duplicates. They're digitized VHS tapes, and there must have been some probably backups or copies or minor differences maybe in runtime. You know, when I remember doing some editing back in the old days on tape, and you'd have to produce your tape to a certain segment for the local TV here, the local cable, but I'm assuming it was the same for satellite. They probably had to keep segments at a certain time. So if they had a extra 30 seconds or something, they probably had a couple of different versions, and you'd never know by just watching these things. But in between those different similar uh, coverage type of things from the shows, you'd find gems like this one. And I think I found the Medusa interview about 3 times over there in different uploads. It's the same interview, but just in 3 different versions or 3 different copies of it. But super cool. And like I say, there's some other stuff from SHOT Shows, old SHOT Shows, and manufacturers that either still are around, so looking at them when they were babies, or like this, manufacturers that have come and gone. So anyway, this was a video that, did I close it already? I think I closed it. So it has like 1 million views or something. So definitely a video that people dig. I guess if I just go to the main channel, it's right here.
A lot of people think that
there's another one out there somewhere that I shot when we went to the range, and it has nowhere near that. This one has almost 2 million views now. So it's just kind of neat. Checking out some of our videos from the past and commenting on them. Thanks again for the people that showed up live. Woods is saying the ultimate zombie apocalypse pistol. Yeah, for sure. That was, I think, the point of it. I just always assumed it was a zombie type of thing, but or a survival. It would have been a survivalist type of thing back then. But judging from that interview, it's hard to know. Maybe it was just a practicality, like an engineering accomplishment. Yesterday's Promenade jumping in. Thank you for joining. And Ron Wayne, thanks for jumping in. Kingpin was also out there. We'll wrap it up with that and say later on today, you've got match chat coming up next. Looks like Clover is going to play with his baseball cards, football cards, or whatever they are, his NASCAR cards. And then later on this afternoon or evening, depending on what part of the country you're in, you'll eventually get to the... Okay, I'm just going to have to cheat because I don't know when she posted all this stuff. But Brooke Cheney will do the Suicide Prevention Saturday show on the Great Start Shooting School YouTube channel. So here we go. Is that today's? Yeah. I can't link to it other than here, but I encourage you to check that out. Conversations, tips, and insight to make conversations more effective when we're being challenged on our possession of firearms as some sort of a solution to the number of deaths with firearms, when we all know that 2 out of every 3 deaths with a firearm is from a suicide, and we can have better effect and more benefit to society by redirecting some of the energies of people that really just want to save lives and have better conversations and more effective conversations with those folks. And thanks to Brooke for providing that on Saturdays. Foss will do his chat later on this afternoon, or I should say overnight, not really this afternoon unless you live in Hawaii. We'll say thoughts gone out to the people in Hawaii, though. Sounds like they are not doing good out there. But we'll actually be able to link to the overnight, so I'll take the chance to do that real quick here. Just real quick, I'm gonna jump back to this show. Since we're live, no one cares if I just jump in here real quick. I'm just gonna kind of jump in the ear and inside the brain of this show real quick. I'm just going to plant an idea inside the ear of the brain of the ear of this show, and suggest that when it's over, maybe YouTube should suggest that we send people over to the Foss's show. And let me show you what I was talking about. When I try to do that with suicide prevention, because this would be a great idea. Let's say I edit that and put Suicide Prevention Saturday in there. Won't let me. So we're going to send folks over to the overnight. You might not be awake, but it might be worth your while to check that out in the morning, because it's essentially like having a version of the early bird chat, except not quite exactly the same. There. So now this chat will link to the overnight when it's all over. But thanks again for joining us. And now we can do a commercial for the show. Have a great night.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs.
I forgot to talk about the poll. So let's do the poll real quick. Now what's happening? Oh, it's just showing whatever. So we're going to go to end the poll over here. And we got a bunch of votes. Thanks for participating. I'm going to make it so that YouTube doesn't even charge you for participating in the poll tonight. That's how much we care. And for the people that are listening to this in the future, I'm going to put it in the description of the video so you can just go read it. But we'll also mention it here that of the votes that came in, which were numerous, and the options were how much would you invest in one of these Medusas? The options were over 7,000, 5 to 7, 2 to 5, or 1 to 2. Because realistically, you're not going to get it for less than $1,000. We had 89% say that they would go up to $2,000, and 10% suggested 5 to 7. No one would pay over 7, and no one would even consider $2,000 to $499. So I was going to sell one for $2,001, but I refused to reduce the price to $1,199. I guess I'll have to keep it until it has gained a value of at least $4,000, whatever, $5,000. So anyway, that was pretty interesting. We'll save the changes there, and now I will click the button that I was going to click.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio